Today we're going to talk about bog filter maintenance. So bog filter maintenance is a question I get asked about quite a bit because I think there's still, people don't understand because the bog filter is pretty. You have plants growing in there, the flowers are blooming, it looks gorgeous, and part of maintaining it is managing those plants. So when you have a dirty, smelly filter and it's gross looking, you know it's time to clean it, right? You're gonna get in there and get that clean. It's nasty. Well, when you have a bog filter, the mindset is different because it's gorgeous and you don't want to disturb it. But I want to give you some tips on maintaining the bog filter. First off, and most important, is when it becomes completely full. Like, I don't know how big your pond or your bog filter is, but if it completely is, let's say, going to be root bound, but you have maybe the roots aren't too aggressive and you're not worried about it too much, the waterfall coming out there still looks good, everything's fine, but if it's full, it's not working as effective as if it's thinned out a little bit. Let me explain. When you reach that capacity and you're full all the way across, you don't have a lot of new growth because you don't have room for the new roots to be feeling out and feeding. So that new spurt of growth, those are the parts of the plant that are pulling the most nutrients out of the pond. With the exception of flowers, like if a plant's flowering, an iris for example, the new growth of iris is pulling really well until that flower kicks in. When it takes a lot of energy for a plant to flower. So that's the only exception. So we want that new roots coming out a lot in the pond. So I would recommend you can let that pond hit or the bog filter hit 100% capacity where there's plants all the way across it. But as soon as it hits 100%, you need to thin it out by 1/3, okay? So imagine when you first build that bog filter and you stock it, it's kind of thin, it's kind of light, there's not that much going on in there, and it might take some time to get full. And as soon as it gets full and it's gorgeous, that's when people make the mistake and they stop thinning it out. So I just want to make sure that it's really critical that you understand that new growth is what's making your water crystal clear and pulling stuff out. So that's really when you need to maintain it. I know that I'm talking to a global audience and we're talking to different zones where we have different temperatures and such. So I was talking to one of my clients over the weekend and he literally has like green iris sticking out of the ice when the ice comes over. And I have people down in San Diego where they would never experience ice and they're having beautiful plants year round. So I just want to impress upon you, there's not necessarily seasonally, when your season is changing, those are good times to do it. In the spring and in the fall, those two times are really important to do maintenance on your bog. But through the summer, if it gets 100% once a month, you need to thin it by 1/3. If it gets, it takes 2 months to get it, then you got to thin it by that. So you need to be a little bit proactive and keep an eye on it. And don't be afraid to disturb how beautiful it looks. You got to get in there and thin it out. So when you're doing it, you want to make sure you knock off the gravel. Like when you're doing a deep-rooted plant and you're pulling it out, you might have some of the gravel that's part of your bog filter attached to the root. So I want to make sure you knock that gravel back in because the gravel is providing the media for the new roots to grow through. So that's an important factor as well. So if you're using too big of gravel in your bog filter, it's not as effective. So you'll find that when you start to thin it out, because you want the gravel to fall back through. So 3/4 all the way down to like pea gravel is good for a bog filter. You want to use that smaller gravel. Don't go too big. So make sure you knock the gravel off as you're pulling it out and keep it thinned out. It's really simple to do. And if you stay on top of it, your pond's going to be amazing year round. Okay, my question of the day to you guys is, just tell me your aquatic plant. I might have asked you that before, but I want to know more about your bog filter, okay? Tell me your favorite bog filter plant and we can expand upon that a little bit. I'm going to engage you guys in the comments and I'm going to talk to you about the plants that you're suggesting because certain bog plants are really good for filtering and certain bog plants don't do as much. So let's engage and I'll talk to you about that in the comments below. Until next time, I'm Eric Triplett the Pond Digger, and if you want me to answer your question on the show, #AskThePondDigger, blast it on the social media platforms and I'll get to you as soon as I can.